What is up, guys? This is Pinzo back with another video today, and we've got some big news. What you guys are looking at in the background right now is Predecessor, and it's not 9-month-old Predecessor. This is brand spanking new, bright and shiny, stress test weekend Predecessor. I was lucky enough to gain access to the game a couple days early with some other content creators and some devs in order to play a couple matches, grab some footage, and make content for you guys. Thank you to the Omida team for that. I mean, it was a super fun time. It was a big privilege. It's the first time I've ever been invited to something like that. So I'm super grateful for those guys for inviting me, and I hope that you guys enjoy the content that comes from that. There will be a couple more videos coming out tonight and tomorrow morning. So as always, subscribe if you guys want to see some Pred content before you can jump in. There will also be a whole bunch of content coming this weekend, videos, streams, all that kind of stuff. So go follow twitch.tv/PinzoDunzo, sub here, see more content. Without the plugs out of the way, this is a first impressions video, so don't expect any guides or anything like that to come out this weekend. I'm not planning on it. No builds have been finalized yet. There's no best build yet. There's no best jungle pathing yet. There's no best way to start yet. None of that's happened. We were just gaming around. We were just messing around, admiring the map, all that kind of stuff. No one was really taking it too seriously. So don't expect any of that content this weekend or even until Predecessor's out. So that's not what this video is. This video is just me talking about Predecessor. But with that out of the way, let's just jump right into this first impressions video. First off, the game itself felt amazing. I didn't have any problems with any of my keybinds. I even rebinded some keys right away, and even after relaunching the game, the key binding stayed. So that's number one that you already know. Once you bind your stuff, once you change your audio sliders, that stuff will stick around, which is super nice. A lot of, early access games tend to reset that kind of stuff, so it was very nice to see that that didn't happen. Along with that, it looked fantastic. It ran well, too. I was on ultra settings the whole time, and while I wasn't getting, 100 FPS on ultra settings, I was sitting around 80 for the most part. Even popping it down to the second highest settings, the game still looked great. The foliage looks fantastic. The jungle looks great. There's a whole bunch of running water that just looks great throughout the entire map. There's a couple waterfalls, the blue buff, red buff, both of those little shrines that they sit on, both look fantastic. So just make sure you guys admire the map just a little bit. I mean, don't take too much time out of your jungle rotations to admire the map, but, just a little bit. Admire it this weekend. It looks fantastic. Along with that, it sounds great. The ambience is there. All the heroes have footsteps now, and they're audible. In a lot of games, especially MOBAs, those footsteps, those moving animations they're not loud enough, so you can't really tell where stuff is. And especially in a 3D MOBA like Predecessor, it helps a lot when you have almost that first-person shooter-esque footsteps where you can hear people when they're coming for you or hear people when they're clearing camps. It just felt really good. And then along with that, the pacing of the game also felt amazing. Most of the games were only 30 minutes long. I had one that was almost 40, but only because it was a really, really, really close game. So stuff like that just makes it makes it feel good. At no point in the game did I feel like it was just dragging on. At no point did I feel like I was needlessly CSing. I felt like I was getting gold at a good pace, getting stronger at a good pace. The game itself just happened to be 30 minutes long. It didn't feel 30 minutes long, but it was, which is really good. That's a good place to be, in my opinion. Moving into the characters of Predecessor, you should be seeing a screenshot of the roster on your screen right now, and obviously the new characters into Predecessor are Drongo, Kallari, and Howitzer. Unfortunately, I did not get a Drongo game in this playtest. I did get to play Howie and Kallari, however. Drongo, he sounded really cool and he looked really cool, but I didn't get to play him, so I can't really say anything about him. Howitzer felt really good. He looked good. All of his animations sounded really cool. His new ultimate basically just lets you sit in the air for a while and launch missiles down. You're not immune or anything, so you can still get shot out of the sky, but it's a really interesting take on Howitzer's old ultimate. And then Kallari is basically a new kit. She still has her throwing dagger and her stealth, but other than that, her ult is reverted to release Kallari, so it's the old dash for her ultimate, which is really interesting. I didn't get to, I don't think I used it very properly the one time I got to play her, but the couple times I did get to hit with it, it felt like it was doing good damage. It felt really it felt really good. I really liked the ultimate, actually. And then along with that, she has a death mark ability, which allows you to essentially mark a target, you do extra damage to them, and then at the end of a duration, it explodes for extra damage. Her kit was really good. Having the throwing dagger have 2 charges so that you can stack your slow to get more quickly or slow someone for longer. You have to hit 2 daggers to get the same damage. probably the greatest idea I've ever had for someone's kit. Whoever came up with put Kalari's dagger on 2 charges needs a raise over at Omida, because that's the greatest idea I've ever seen for Kalari's kit. It just balances it really well. It makes it easier to balance, as a matter of fact. So that was fantastic. The other characters I got to play were Feng Mao and Steel. Steel felt a little weak to me, but I was playing him in the jungle building damage, so I think playing him as a support is the way to go. It's not that he didn't do damage. I was just too slow. My end gauge was just not very good. So maybe if I just built differently, I could fix that. I'm not sure. I'd have to play it again. As far as Feng Mao goes, his ultimate is the only note that I had. It's not a percent health execute anymore. It used to execute at 20% or 25%. Now it executes at like 50 more damage than the ult does. I'll put that up on screen and you guys can tell me in the comments if I'm just being dumb and not reading it right. But as per reading it, the execute's weird. It makes it so that I can't execute a Sevarog at 25%, which is what it was good at before. So I don't know. Being able to refire it is really cool if you kill someone with it, though. So I really like that aspect, but I still wish it executed at like 15% or 20% health. I think it would make the ult feel better. But other than that, that was my only note on Feng Mao. The rest of his kit worked well. He felt pretty solid. Moving on past the characters, we get to the map. The map was fantastic. It looks so beautiful. The river, it sounded great. Even just standing in the river, the ambient noises in the river were fantastic. The river buffs are still very good. I really enjoy the river buffs. I think they're a fantastic addition. They're basically the same as the last time you got to play Pred, so you won't have to learn too much there. The rest of the jungling felt really good. Red buff, blue buff, the shrines they sat on just looked fantastic. All the ambience in the jungle was great. Lane minions didn't feel too hard to kill. It felt like you kind of leveled up with the minions, but a little over them, so that later in the game, you weren't having trouble clearing waves. It was easy to push a wave fast, which is good. That's a good thing. Along with that, jungle camps are the same way. Early game, it takes a little bit longer to clear some of the camps, but it should. And then late game, once you get a couple items online, you clear camps really quickly. So I think that all the balancing so far is really good. Until someone finds a way to break it, I think that it's in a great spot. The side jungle, hopefully I put some video of the side jungle on screen right now, because it's fantastic. The way that verticality is implemented on that side jungle is just great. Characters like Kalari in the offlane who have vertical mobility they're able to drop down below, and you either have to follow them and drop down, and then Kalari can just triple jump back up, or you stay up top and try to let her not come up, and then she probably stealths and gets away. So there are a lot of outplay potential with that verticality, and I think it's something that will take some time to master. I don't think it's something that's going to be innate for most players, so I think it will be something that is really a skill gap separator for people able to use that verticality. It's great. The only thing on the map that I'm not completely sold on, and once again, I only got to play 4 matches, so don't take this one with a grain of salt. Orb Prime and Fangtooth are not even. They're not in the middle of the map. And to me, what this is going to do is make strong side, weak side. You know, one side, dusk side or dawn side, will be inherently stronger. And I don't know if that's true. Honestly, it probably won't be, except for maybe at the very, very top 1% of gameplay. Other than that, I think it'll be fine. But it's just a little worrisome to me where the map is already flipped to where one side has red buff next to duo and one side has red buff next to solo. And then you, on top of that, you have Fang and Orb Prime on different sides of the map. It just feels a little weird to me. To me, personally, I think they should be on the river, direct middle of the map, so that both sides, so it's even. But maybe it works out. Once again, I only played 4 games. That's just the one note that I had on the map itself about whether or not it might matter. So I don't know. You guys tell me what you think down in the comments. Looking at the mini map, do you think that Prime and Fangtooth being separated like that, do you think that's a good, bad thing in between? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Moving on to the items in Predecessor. These items felt really good. First of all, they toned down the amount of active items. Last time in Pred, you had a whole bunch of active items, just got a little bit jumbled. And this time, they toned them back a bit. So the max amount of active items you can have is 3, plus your universal blink. So you have 4 actives and 4 abilities. Makes sense to me. Seems to make sense. It felt good. At no point was I wanting more than 3 active items. Gets a lot to keep track of. I'm glad that they're toning it back a little bit. And along with that, you guys have crests. These are the starter items in the game. They're called crests, and they're super cool. There are like 10 different crests in the game, which means that no matter what you're playing in what role, you will always have a crest to choose that is useful, which is super cool. And then these crests have quests. And once you complete the quest for your crest levels up. And it basically just becomes a better version of your starting crest, and it gains another quest. So once your starting crest levels up by completing the quest, your second crest gets a quest that once you complete the crest's second quest, it evolves again. But on the third evolution of it, you get to choose how it evolves. So once your second part of your crest levels up, you have 3 options on how to evolve it, which is just really interesting. Most of them are very similar, just with some slightly different effects on them. All of these are actives. All the tier 3 crests have actives on them, and that's the main thing that differs between the choices. I thought it was a really interesting take on starter items. I think it's a really good take on starter items. I think it's a fantastic way to make your starter item feel impactful. It makes the choice feel impactful along with the actually leveling of it. It makes it feel like you're doing something in the game. It feels like a quest from WoW, where you complete the quest and you get to choose a reward. That's kind of what it feels like, which I think is really good. Moving into the final part of this video, notes. This is just stuff that I noticed about the game. Good, bad, in between, all that kind of stuff. Starting us off, there were a couple animations that felt just a little bit off, a little cluttery even, that seemed to make the game feel just a little bit claustrophobic. Number one was Gadget's Disruptor Drone. I believe that's what it's called. Her right click, the big cone, if you walked through it, it would turn your screen orange, which is just a little odd. Like, I get that it's a third-person MOBA and your camera's, a little off. It's just one of those things that it wasn't necessarily game breaking or anything. It was just, it'd be better if my screen didn't turn orange, that kind of stuff. The other ability that I got this with was Fang Mao's ultimate, but only if he was hitting you with it from behind. And I don't know why that is, but it seemed to be bigger from behind. And maybe it was one of those where I was looking at a weird angle and the Fang Mao ult came from the correct angle, to where basically I had a spiky Fang Mao ultimate covering my screen for half a second, which wasn't once again, it's not game breaking, and it's just a note. It's just, that might happen to you this weekend. Just be ready for it. Finally, Narbash's heal is just hard to see when it's active. It doesn't have the big green radius on it. It's just kind of like a green bubbly effect around the people being healed. But they know about that one, and I think they're going to work on it. So just be ready for stuff like that. Once again, it's not a perfect game, right? It's not 100% completed. It still looks fantastic, but it's not complete. So they're still working on this kind of stuff. Other than that, the other note that I've got is, remember that you have a blink. The default key binding for this is number 4, and it's just a short range blink, and it's essentially just a combat blink. You can use it while you're in combat, out of combat. Everyone has it. 5-minute cooldown. It's just something that you forget about, so don't forget about it. It will help you out greatly, especially playing characters with low mobility, even characters with mobility. It gets you in and out of fights very easily, so make sure you use it. I forgot about it the entire first game I played, and I was kind of sad. So don't forget about it. But that's actually all I've got for you guys today. So as always, thank you very much to Omida Studios for letting me play test the game. I thought it was super fun. I got to hang out with the other content creators. They were all super nice, and Omida is also fantastic for letting us play their game a couple days early. So as always, if you did enjoy the video, please let me know in the comments down below. Hit the subscribe button if you're new. Give it a like if you did enjoy. But that's all I've got for you guys. So as always, I've been Pinzo. This video's Dunzo. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.